So here we are finally at what's called Copper Breaks State Park. And we're still in Texas. We've been driving all day. For those of you that are not Texans, Texas is big. And Eiley, our 3-year-old, was really surprised that we drove all day and we're not at Yellowstone yet. In fact, when we pulled into the park here, she was sniffling a little bit because it's not Yellowstone. And where do you want to be?
At Yellowstone.
Oh. So we're not at Yellowstone yet?
No.
Where are we?
At Texas.
Oh. And so you might say, well, why did you stop at Copper Breaks State Park? Why not go north to one of the other really beautiful places in Colorado or Wyoming on the first day? And the answer is actually the view. But, you may be looking around and thinking, it looks a little crispy. You came there for the view? This isn't the view I'm talking about. This is the view I'm talking about. I love astronomy, and this is one of the really great state parks in Texas to get a beautiful sky view. So we're going to do a little amateur astronomy tonight. So why don't you join me? We've got to wait till it gets dark, but once it's dark, I think we're going to see some really amazing stuff. So join me and let's look up. We spent hours out after the sun was down and we saw some amazing stuff. We saw the silvery band of the Milky Way that sort of came across the middle of the sky. We saw the moon rise blood red through the trees. It was really cool. We saw some shooting stars. We even saw some bats hanging around. It was a really great night. I'm not exactly a novice to staring at the sky. In fact, a few years ago, I bought a really big telescope, like a telescope so big I couldn't lift it on my own. I had to get a lift to put it in place. I set it up in my backyard. I had this little astronomy lab, and it was a cool little spot, but the experience wasn't nearly as great as being out here. And that's sort of how life is. You get what you put into it, don't you? If you're lazy and your only commitment is to walk out the back door, your experience may not be as great as if you are willing to drive all this way and stay up late and stare at the stars. So, here's the lesson that appears in this chapter of the book, Eternal Rewards, that we're talking about. It's that not everybody's experience will be the same in heaven. If you're like me, you probably grew up in a church where it seemed as if the lesson was, once we get to heaven, we're all equal. Once we get to heaven, there will be no difference between you and me and anybody else. But do you know that's not actually what the Bible teaches? Listen to these words of Jesus. He says this, "Do not think that I came to destroy the law or the prophets. Whoever therefore breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches men so shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven." Do you notice that? He's talking about people that will be in heaven. So they're people that are saved, but they will be called least. Why? Because of how they lived here on earth in their mortal life. And then notice what he says then. He says, "But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven." So we have two groups. We have those who are called least because of how they lived here and now, and then we have those in heaven who will be called great because of how they live here and now. So here's the calling. You can either be least or great in the kingdom of heaven. This isn't about personal pride or self-centeredness. This is about eternal rewards. And that's what we're going to continue talking about in the rest of this road trip. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to taking you on the next leg of the journey.